Part 25. Want to be famous? The next day, the sky was still dark, and the morning had already begun. Jun Yi, who was sitting on the dragon chair, opened his mouth and said, "If there is something to play, I will retreat." The Prime Minister Zuo immediately stepped out, and said with great concern, "Your Majesty, because concubine Yi's attracted thunder yesterday. People who do not know about it are everywhere. They are all spreading bad words about you, the Emperor. What's more, there are many troubles in the street. Although many troublemakers have been arrested, the hearts of the people must have been unstable for a long time." Jun Yi replied, "I know about this matter, and it has been resolved. This way, Prime Minister Zuo doesn't have to worry about this." Prime Minister Zuo was stunned for a moment, really wanting to ask Jun Yi's solution, but he looked up and saw Jun Yi's majestic expression. Apparently not wanting to say more, so he had to shut up. "Is there anything else to play?" Jun Yi asked. This time, no one came out to perform the performance. And just when everyone thought they were going to retreat, Jun Yi said, "The disasters in Wuliang Prefecture and Luoan Prefecture are serious, and the people have been displaced. So, we help the victims from those two places to rebuild their homes and return to normal life as soon as possible." All the officials in the Holy Harmony Temple were stunned, wondering why the Emperor suddenly gave so much money. A small official who had already passed the Emperor's anger immediately came out and handed back. "The Emperor has all the people in his heart. And it is an honor for the minister to follow the Emperor in his lifetime. The minister wishes to donate 1,000 taels of silver and 100 stones of food to the disaster area to help the victims as soon as possible rebuild their homes and return to normal life." The rest of the officials were all stunned. Why did they suddenly donate disaster silver in the courtroom? "Your Majesty, this minister is also willing to donate 1,000 taels of silver and 100 stones of food." Another official came out and spoke. Seeing that two people came forward to donate, the officials who aroused kindness came out one after another, expressing their willingness to donate disaster silver. The remaining officials were still hesitating. After all, 1,000 taels of silver and 100 stones of grain were not a small sum, but when they received Jun Yi's unkind gaze, everyone deeply realized what moral kidnapping was. "Your Majesty, I would like to donate 2,000 taels of silver and 100 stones of food." Another person came out and raised the donation directly. At this time, those who waited and watched did not dare to wait and watch. Fearing that the donation money would rise, they all listed out and reported the amount of their donation. Eunuch Yun looked at the ministers who kept reporting the numbers, and finally realized what Yi Yang said last night, and couldn't help admiring Yi Yang's intelligence. After Jun Yi saw that all the officials in the previous court had given donations today, he nodded and smiled and said, "I know that all Ichings are good officials with all the people in their hearts. And it is my honor to have you to help me. Historian Zhang, I will give the donations that everyone has given today. All the amounts are recorded for future generations to watch the generosity of that minister's family." Here, Zhang Shiguan immediately came out and replied respectfully. The other high-ranking officials were clearly unhappy in their hearts, but they couldn't do it. They lost 1,000 taels of silver for no reason in the last morning. And they also lost 100 stones of grain. Although this amount of money is only a drop in the bucket for these big families, but they are accustomed to only getting in and not getting out. They still can't help but feel pain. After Wang He returned home, before he had time to complain about the Emperor's moral kidnapping, the guards at home came forward and reported, "Patriarch, there are hundreds of donation boxes in the city, which are said to be raising money for disaster relief for the victims of the disaster area. Wang He is the Wang family's family lord. In the imperial court as the Minister of Household Affairs, he saw that the emperor actually wanted people from the people to give charity, and he sneered. The people of the holy city are too busy to take care of themselves. How could they give charity to the disaster area? The head of the family said very well. The wealthy businessmen in the holy city acted as though they hadn't seen it, and didn't donate a penny. Wang He didn't say anything. He waved his hand, indicating that the guards could go down. The guards stepped back respectfully. He rested his chin in his hand, thinking about how to embezzle the disaster relief money this time. After all, there is so much money in disaster relief this time. If he can embezzle a little bit, it will definitely be a lot of income. There are many people who think the same way as him. And they all think about how to embezzle the disaster relief money this time. After all, the amount of disaster relief money this time is huge. At the same time, Shu Molin, who had just come out of Feng Shang building, was stopped by a luxurious carriage. Shu Molin frowned, wondering who blocked his way early in the morning, destroying the good mood he had accumulated overnight. He walked around the carriage and was about to walk away when the curtain of the carriage was lifted from the inside, revealing a face as handsome as a banished immortal. Shu Molin was quite surprised when he saw the other party. Cousin, get on the carriage to chat? Shui Chen asked Shu Molin with a faint smile on his face. Shu Molin had a good relationship with Shui Chen since he was a child. When he saw Shui Chen, who he hadn't seen for a long time, he quickly climbed into the carriage and got into Shui Chen's carriage. Cousin, why do you have time to leave the palace? Shu Molin asked, sitting opposite Shui Chen. Isn't there something good for you to do? Shui Chen had a malicious smile on his face, making Shu Molin wary. Cousin, our mothers are close sisters and have a very good relationship. Don't think about harming me and embarrassing our mothers. Shu Molin put her hands on her chest, fearing that Shui Chen would harm herself. He knew Shui Chen well. Even though Shui Chen looked harmless to humans and animals, when he became ruthless, even the bully Qin was afraid. Shui Chen was speechless for a while. Does he look like a bad guy? It's a good thing. Shui Chen was afraid that Shu Molin would be scared away, so he quickly said, Cousin, do you want to be famous? Of course, who doesn't want to be famous and let everyone know about it? Shu Molin instantly became energetic, and asked excitedly, Cousin, can you make me famous? Shui Chen nodded. Then what should I do to make myself famous? Shu Molin asked excitedly. He has been a little transparent at home since he was a child. He obviously worked hard to study, wanted to win honor for his family, and won the respect of his father, but his talent was limited. No matter how hard he studied, he was not as good as his brothers. So he exiled himself like this. All day long, scoundrels spend their days. How much money do you have? Shui Chen asked with a smile. Obviously, his smile is very beautiful, but in Shu Molin's eyes, he is inexplicably malicious. He tightly guarded his purse and asked vigilantly, Cousin, what are you going to do? Let me tell you, this is my small treasury. I will definitely not give it to you. Besides, cousin, you are a royal concubine, a majestic concubine, you are not short of money. Shui Chen and Shu Molin really didn't have a common topic. Cousin, if it's all right, I will go home. Shu Molin clings to the wall of the carriage, trying to escape the carriage. Why, my cousin doesn't want to be famous. And his reputation has grown? Shui Chen looked at Shu Molin, who wanted to escape, with a half smile. Cousin, I really have no money, I'm so poor. Shu Molin grimaced with a handsome face. Okay then. Shui Chen shrugged and said lightly, then I'll give this opportunity to someone else, and I hope you won't cry about it in the future. Shu Molin, who wanted to escape, suddenly stopped and asked curiously, Brother, what's a good thing, can you tell me? Shui Chen shook his head and replied with a light smile, confidential. Shu Molin was depressed. And his heart was even more tangled. He wanted to make himself famous, but he was reluctant to bear it to spend money. Seeing Shu Molin hesitate, Shui Chen didn't rush. He lifted the curtain and looked at Feng Shang Building. Feng Shang Building occupies a very wide area. In the middle, there is a tall archway. On the archway is carved a soaring phoenix. On both sides of the archway, there is a tall pavilion. The pavilion is engraved with 3 characters, Feng Shang Building. I couldn't help but tease, you say you don't have money. But you use it here. My cousin is living a pretty cool life. Shu Molin was embarrassed by what he said. He scratched his head and said with a smile, isn't Miss Yiling in Feng Shang Building? I want to see Miss Yiling's beauty, so I came to this Feng Shang Building. I like girl Yiling, but holding other women tenderly. I really don't agree with my cousin's concept. Shu Molin was even more embarrassed by Shui Chen's irony. He scratched his head and quickly changed the subject. Well, cousin. How much do you want? It depends on how much money you have. Shu Molin hesitated and stretched out 2 fingers. It's only 2,000 taels of silver. Of course, he must have more than that, but he had to make a way for himself. 2,000 taels is a little less than what I expected, but it doesn't matter. Is my cousin willing to use these 2,000 taels to buy the reputation of a good person? Shui Chen asked with a smile. Certainly not. Shu Molin shook his head, wondering what Shui Chen's idea was. And asked, cousin, what trick are you playing? 2,000 taels of silver bought the reputation of a good person, and he didn't panic because of too much money. It's fine if you don't want to. Then I'll go to Jingyu. Shui Chen made a gesture of invitation, indicating that Shu Molin could get off the carriage. Jingyu, Zhang Jingyu, Shu Molin's #1 rival in love. Seeing Shui Chen looking for Zhang Jingyu, instantly aroused his rebellious psychology. Isn't it just 2,000 taels of silver? I'll give it. That afternoon, at the entrance of the Holy City and major downtown areas, the imperial rankings were promulgated in all places, and everyone looked at the newly promulgated imperial rankings and began to discuss. What's going on here? Why did you suddenly announce the imperial list? Someone who was illiterate looked at the characters on the imperial list. Their eyes were dark, and they didn't know what was written on it. I'll take a look. A man in a fancy dress walked into the crowd. Looking at the words on the imperial list, his face was a little weird. This young master, what is written on it? Someone urged. Although the man was unhappy, he still coughed lightly and read. On the 3rd day of the 8th lunar month in the 8th year of the Yangnian calendar, Wuliang Prefecture, Luoan Prefecture, and the Holy City experienced a massive earthquake that has not been seen in a century. There is love in the world. Shu Molin, the 9th young master of the Shu family in the Holy City, is worried about the victims who are in distress, generously donating 2,000 taels of silver to help the victims in the disaster area get through the difficulties as soon as possible. Let the people of the Holy Dynasty remember this generous 9th young master Shu Molin. Who is this Shu Molin? He has such a kind heart to help the disaster victims donate so much money? I really want to see this young master Shu Molin. Yeah, it's really kind. It's an honor for the Holy Dynasty to have such a person. In the crowd, there was a lot of discussion, and they all praised Shu Molin's kindness. The man who read the emperor's list saw that everyone was praising Shu Molin. His expression was a little gloomy, and he secretly scolded Shu Molin for his shit luck, and suddenly became a hot figure in the Holy City. For a time, the streets and alleys of the Holy City were all talking about Shu Molin, and they all wanted to see who the person who donated 2,000 taels of silver to the disaster area was. Shu Molin, who was hotly debated by the whole city, didn't know it. because he slept at home all afternoon, and when it got dark, he slipped away through the back door and went to Feng Shang Building. It's just that he just arrived at Feng Shang Building today. And the atmosphere in Feng Shang Building became a little weird. Everyone who knew him was looking at him, which made him a little uncomfortable. At this time, a well-behaved and lovely little girl came to him, blessed with a blessed body, and said with a smile, "Master Shu, my girl is invited." Shu Molin looked at the little girl in front of him with a look of surprise. "You know, this little girl is the little maid next to Miss Yilling. Her girl has an invitation. Isn't that the girl who invited him? Please?" Shu Molin felt like he was in a dream. Everything was so unreal. "You must know that Miss Yilling is full of talent, and her appearance is amazing. Countless dignitaries want to chat with Miss Yilling, but they were all rejected by the arrogant Miss Yilling." Shu Molin also spent a lot of money trying to chat with Miss Yilling, but every time he came back without success. "Yes, my girl is waiting for Master Shu on the painting boat." Shu Molin felt that happiness came too suddenly. He tilted his head to look around. And sure enough, he found Zhang Jingyu in the lobby, who came every day, and he held his head proudly, walking towards Miss Yilling's painting boat with a victorious pace. When Shu Molin's figure disappeared in the lobby, the crowd suddenly roared. "It's not fair. Why did young Master Shu get the invitation from Miss Yilling? That's right. And that young Master Shu hasn't given any money yet." For a while, the huge lobby was noisy. And people who didn't know Shu Molin were all talking about it. Shouting is unfair. The old lady put on thick powdered daisies and stood on the high platform, and smiled. "Everyone, don't make a fuss. The young master just now is Shu Molin, the young master of the Shu family who donated 2,000 taels of silver to the disaster area. In the evening, I will sing poetry and compose words with the 9th master of the Shu family." After everyone heard it, they, who had just been chaotic and uneasy, instantly stopped roaring. People with flexible minds began to calculate. When Shu Molin learned that he was famous, it was only the next day. He was walking on the street, and all the people who knew him greeted him politely, letting him experience the taste of being respected and satisfying his little vanity. I couldn't help thanking Shui Chen in my heart. He made him famous overnight. Suddenly found that 2,000 taels of silver was really worth it. In the afternoon, another imperial list was posted at the gate of the city and in the major downtown areas. This time, 3 names appeared on the imperial list. Everyone looked at Zhang Jingyu's name with the donation of 5,000 taels of silver written behind it. Take a deep breath. 5,000 taels of silver, but ordinary people can't make money with their hard work in a lifetime. And in the evening, I wanted to see if Miss Yilling would invite Zhang Jingyu tonight. Everyone rushed into the Feng Shang Building, making the normally lively Feng Shang Building even more lively. For a time, the lobby was crowded, and the girls were almost unable to entertain them. The maid of Feng Shang Building looked at twice as many guests as usual. Her turbid eyes lit up, and she instantly felt that this little girl, Yilling, was really smart, using Shu Molin's kindness to make the entire Feng Shang Building's business a lot better at those times. That night, Miss Yilling recited and composed poems with Zhang Jingyu for free. And everyone began to give wildly. The purpose was to write poems with Miss Yilling. In the bedroom of Xing Chen Palace, Zhun Yi didn't know whether to be happy or angry after listening to Yun Qing's report on the number of private donations in the past 2 days. It's ridiculous, for one woman. They are competing to give alms, asking them to give, 1 or 2 pretending to be poor, but now, for a woman, they are using the giving as a bargaining chip to meet the girl of Yilling. It's ridiculous and pathetic. Yun Qing didn't dare to answer. After all, what he said now seemed to be wrong. Zhen Yi didn't make a big deal about this, but asked Yi Yang, who went to the Ministry of Works yesterday to make glass and paper after receiving the imperial decree, where's concubine Yi? What is he doing in the Ministry of Engineering? Yun Qing's face flashed a weird trace. He replied truthfully. Back to the emperor. Young master concubine Yi ordered people to collect a lot of bark, wheat straw, bamboo and stones. What did he collect those things for? Zhen Yi was puzzled. It was all very common things. Why do you deliberately collect these common things? I don't know. Yun Qing shook his head. Let him toss it. Zhen Yi didn't say much about this matter, but ordered, Yun Qing, go and invite the wizard. Yun Qing was stunned for a while, wondering why Zhen Yi wanted to see the wizard. Didn't it prove a few days ago that there is no God in this world? But doubts turned into doubts. He responded and exited Zhen Yi's bedroom. Without making Zhen Yi wait long, the wizard He Yan came to the Xingchen palace with an uneasy mood. I see my emperor, long live my emperor. He Yan knelt down on the ground and shouted long live. Ever since he learned that there is no God in this world, he no longer has the arrogance he used to be, and now he is extremely respectful or somewhat fearful when he meets the emperor. Get up. Although Zhen Yi knew that there were no gods in this world, he did not dismiss He Yan's official position. After all, He Yan could calculate the calendar and watch the weather. So he kept him. Thank you, Lord long live. He Yan stood up honestly, raised his eyes and glanced at Zhen Yi's expression. Seeing that Zhen Yi's expression was as usual, he didn't look like he wanted to trouble him, so he felt a little relieved. Seeing He Yan standing upright, Zhen Yi said slowly, He Aiqing, from now on, your Tian Shenjian will be renamed Qin Tianjian, and you will still be the chief, recording the weather, calculating the solar terms, and formulating the calendar. Of course, the three words, Qin Tianjian, were suggested by Yi Yang. He felt that Qin Tianjian was more powerful than Tian Shenjian. So he changed Tian Shenjian to Qin Tianjian. Thank you, Lord long live. He Yan's calm face showed a hint of joy, and he quickly knelt down and shouted long live. Get up. Zhen Yi waited for He Yan to stand up, and then said, He Aiqing, observe when there is rain in the sky in the near future. If you find anything, report it to me immediately. Respectfully replied, I obey the order. Well, go down. Zhen Yi waved his hand, indicating that he could go down. Here. He Yan hunched out of the room with a humble attitude, no longer the arrogant attitude he used to have.